A tribute to nature. In both ways. How happy I was to see the ecstatic faces of my 4 friends as I showed up with a big fat bag of mushrooms. The shrooms were something they had wanted for a long time, it being very boring living on an island. I had just managed to get a good deal on some great illicit merchandise, half an ounce, for $60. Immediately I was forced to split the bag into 4 small 1/8 of an ounce portions for my insistent friends. Only 3 of us decided to indulge that night, 10 p.m. Nonetheless, we immediately devoured the tasty little soldiers without any complaints. Usually here, these don't taste good. Blah, blah. In a few minutes all I had left was approximately 2 grams, half caps and half stems. My friends were excited and so we started having a good old time as usual, quickly deciding to smoke a joint to waste some time. This took the usual 5 to 10 minutes and we were all sitting around, waiting for the effects of the psychedelic thrillers to kick in. Well, everyone except me, for patience is the virtue I have not yet mastered. At 10:30 I splurged on the rest, and we all downed another stem, and then another cap for me. 10 minutes passed and another cap for me. By then I was hearing the telltale noises of satisfied, high people. Just starting to feel the effects myself, I decided to take one more, and another. Whoops, whole bag was gone, the last 4 caps down my throat. The night was grand. My other friend got completely toasted off of the whiskey, rum, vodka, etc. while the psychedelic trio danced under the stars. We decided it was getting kinda late and that we didn't want to wake parents up with our shouts of, "This is so F# at $$ cool, man," and accordingly we went back inside. The rest of the night and much of the morning went about the same. We had a great time. Then I left at 5 a.m. to go somewhere. Where, you ask? I didn't know at the time, but all of a sudden my Geo had turned into a racecar. Every bump in the road was extravagant and exaggerated. I loved it, and even more so when I saw I was only going 30 miles per hour. I ended up driving to the beach, where I saw the most magnificent sight ever. Shrooms routinely convert the slightest never-before-noticed parts of nature into thrillers. The way the trees shake with the gentle wind urges you on, the sand on the beach flows in waves just as the ocean. Everything seamlessly moves without ever really moving. It's like leaving your old life behind and looking upon the world with the eyes of a child, so pleased with so little. Fascinated with the magnificence of nature. That morning, at approximately 6 a.m., the sun rose over the waters of the Puget Sound, and I witnessed the most beautiful scene nature has ever produced. Wispy clouds, that seemed to flow in every way possible, changed colors as the sun shed its gaze on them. The waves reflected an infinite number of distinctly different shades of blue, gray, black, and white, all beautiful beyond words. Behold! The sun bellowed as I took in the landscape as a whole and noticed the icy peaks of the mountains that engulfed the waters. I marveled at the utter perfection of nature as I watched the sun rise over the mountains and the ocean, through the light fog, shedding millions of magnificent colors to my still very dilated eyes. It was then I remembered that I needed to go home before my dad woke up. I must mention, briefly, that I don't have a clue how I snuck in the house that morning without getting caught. My pops was up at 6:30 a.m., and I could hear the coffee pot brewing on a sat. Morning as I carefully unlocked the front. Shoes already taken off, baggy pants in hand, I swept through the entrance, dining room, hallway, and into my room. In the mere 5 to 10 seconds my dad went into his room. It must be worth mentioning that my dad knows exactly what it means to have dilated, jumpy-ass eyes at 6 a.m., and ass beating. Luckily, I got into bed without incident, and quickly fell asleep. Yeah right, I was spun until that night. But as I lay there thinking at a mile a minute, I realized something. As much as I hated living on an island for almost my entire life, I finally saw the extreme beauty in living there. My mind stopped for just a minute that morning to pay a tribute to nature.